GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Golf Dudes Podcast. Happy Thursday. Happy almost weekend. All those things. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joe Calabro. A few things to get to, and then we get to our guest, Will Owens, who joined us this week to talk about his own golf game, of course, but really he was talking about the Little League World Series. So we'll get to that. This episode of the Golf Dudes Podcast is presented by Links Drinks. Links Drinks is at many clubs across the state of Rhode Island, including Coventry Country Club, which has been cool to see over the last. I just noticed it over the last couple of weeks or so. So that's been cool to see. And thanks to Links Drinks for supporting us. So a few things to get to locally on the golf scene. Obviously, the season is winding down. Not a ton going on, but we do have a few things anyway to get to. And then we'll get to Will. You know, I asked him to come on to talk about the World Series. It's not too often that we cross sports. Obviously, we're a golf website, golf podcast, but for a special occasion and for a cool story like Will's story, to take the opportunity to cross sports for a few minutes and do some Little League World Series talk, get his thoughts on the World Series, his memories of it. He was on that Coventry team in 2018 that went to the World Series. So we talked to him for about 15 minutes about baseball and, of course, golf, as well as he's getting ready for his senior year at North Kingstown. But first, a couple of things in the news this week. Of course, the PGA Tour is getting set for leg number 2 of their FedEx Cup playoffs. How about this run that Lucas Glover is on? Unbelievable. He went from almost being not in the tournament, not in the FedEx Cup playoffs, to now potentially winning the whole thing if he keeps up the great play. So pretty unbelievable to watch. They get underway, of course, Thursday, or got underway on Thursday, I guess. And the Korn Ferry Tour is winding down their season as well. They put out rankings, the Korn Ferry Tour did the other day, about the top 150 make it to the finals, the Korn Ferry Tour finals, in a couple of weeks. Patrick Welch and Davis Chatfield are both inside that 150, so they'll both be able to play in the Korn Ferry Tour Championship tournament. Neither of them are that close to the top 30. Top 30 is where the PGA Tour cards, where you get your PGA Tour card. So neither of them are that close to that, but they're at least in the championship final tournament. Davis is closer to the top 30 than Patrick is. Davis has one great week, a win or even a top 5 finish, say. He could certainly get close enough to the top 30, would make it interesting. So we'll be watching that as well. But at least as of right now, obviously these things can change from week to week. Right now, they're both inside the top 150, which gets them into the championship tournament. The big news locally, of course, this week, 2 big stories. One, Joel Harvey of Agawam Hunt gets into the U.S. Mid-Am. He did the qualifier this past Monday at Sunningdale Country Club in New York. Sorry, I had to look at the name of it. Sunningdale Country Club in New York. It's always interesting is Bobby Leopold does the same thing, and others do it as well. They don't qualify in Rhode Island. They go to these other places. I think Bobby did the U.S. Amateur qualifier in Connecticut last year. I think he did. But either way, it's interesting to see these guys go to different places. So Joel Harvey of Agawam Hunt, he's in the U.S. Mid-Amateur, which is pretty cool. He carded a 1/71, and he took co-medalist honors with 4 other guys. 5 guys got through. They all were +1, and so they all get in. They all get co-medalist honors. So pretty cool stuff. I reached out to Joel. He was traveling this week. I'm assuming traveling back from Sunningdale was where he was traveling from, and so he couldn't come on the pod this week. But we're hoping to get in touch with him over the next couple of days or next week or so, perhaps, to get his thoughts on qualifying and try to talk to him before he goes to the Mid-Amateur. The Mid-Amateur is September 9th to the 14th at Sleepy Hollow Country Club. So you've heard of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now the U.S. Mid-Am is going to Sleepy Hollow. So congrats to Joel again. We tried to get him on this week. He's traveling, so hopefully we'll connect in the next couple of days or a week or so and get him on. But that's pretty cool again. The Rhode Island qualifier for the Mid-Am is on August 22nd at Connecticut National, so another Rhode Island tournament in Connecticut. So I'm sure everybody will be playing that. Connecticut National is obviously a great course. It's just strange to, well, anyway. So that's when the Rhode Island qualifier will be. But we at least have one Rhode Islander in the Mid-Am as of right now. So that's pretty cool. Also, the other big story, Allison Paik was in the Massachusetts Women's Amateur. Always feel connected with Allison because she was one of our first guests here on the Golf Dudes podcast way back when. So always cool to still follow her career. She graduated Columbia. She was playing the Mass Women's Am. This week, she qualified for the stroke play as a 6th seed, but she lost in heartbreaking fashion on Wednesday in 19 holes. The girl she was playing, whose name is Clara Che. I hope I pronounced her last name right. I'm sure I did. Clara made like a 25-foot birdie putt. The video is up on Twitter. Clara made a 25-foot birdie putt on the 19th hole to basically win it. Allison had to make her birdie putt. She missed. So tough loss for Allison, but she played pretty well, especially that first day. She was tied for first in the second round. Got a little bit away from her, but she still qualified for match play. Still got a top six seed or the 6th seed. So good playing by Allison there. So those are the two things, big local stories that are watching. Again, the season kind of winding down here. Club championships are still ongoing. We posted Green Valley, some stuff out of Green Valley this past week. Congrats to Cindy Sylvia, who broke the women's course record at Green Valley, and to Jeff Frizzacco. Again, I hope I pronounced his name right, on winning the Green Valley Club Championship. In his 36-hole match, he won in 27 holes. So I would say a pretty dominant victory for him as well. So that's to the local stuff that we have going on. PGA Tour, of course, is this week, as I mentioned, with the BMW Championship in Chicago, and now they're down to the top 50 make it, or the top 50. Now they're down to the top 30 qualify. Top 30 qualify for the FedEx Cup Championship. Obviously, as always, is at East Lake. So can Lucas Glover keep this going? Will John Rahm get us stuff together after a down couple weeks? So it'll be that'll be fun to watch. So that's kind of what is going on in local golf world. I'm trying to play as much as I can personally, as my friend Dan and I have our Stamp Blue tournament coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. So a big 2-day. Hopefully I'm trying to win the tournament. That'd be pretty cool. So I've been playing a lot, trying to play a lot myself. A little rusty on some things, and not bad at other things. I played in the Kirkbride President's Cup this past weekend, and I played good until I took a 10 on the 13th hole. So that wasn't great. I put 3 drives in the trees on the left. The 13th hole is the long par 4 with the impossible green that everybody hates, and is out of bounds on the left. So I put 3 drives in the trees on the left, and that was pretty much the end of that. But I parred the hole. Basically, I was hitting 7 off the tee, but I made par. So there's 10. So other than that, I played pretty good. And hopefully if I have a hole like that in the tournament, my partner will pick me up. I know Rich has his big 27-hole tournament this Saturday at King's Crossing. So we wish him luck in that. Hopefully he can bring home another victory for GolfNewsRI and to follow up on Austin's Lincoln Wireless Club Championship. So we wish him well in that, and obviously we'll have results on golfnewsri.com. So that's kind of the stuff going on. Hopefully you're all out there playing. It's still some great weather. I hope not so much the last couple of days, but and Friday's not supposed to be great apparently either. So my Friday afternoon golf round with the boys might be in jeopardy. But hopefully the weekend is supposed to be nice, and it's supposed to be nice into next week, at least according to the weather on my phone. So hopefully everyone's playing, and there's still plenty of golf season left. We try to this is always a time of year where you're trying to prolong the golf season, right? You're trying to play, just keep extending it. October, September, October. Maybe you get into November. So it's always a interesting time of year to see how far people will play. Some people play year round, no matter what the temperature is. So there's that. So with all that said, we're gonna get to Will Owens now. I interviewed him. So for timing purposes, I talked to Will on Wednesday evening. We taped the interview shortly after Smithfield had won their first game in the Little League World Series. So just so when you're watching it, you're not like, you're not thinking about just so you have an idea of timing. So that was when we taped this. It was great to talk to him. We talked about the World Series. We talked about his experience in the Little League World Series with Coventry back in 2018. And obviously, we talked about golf as well. Pretty cool. Again, anytime you get an opportunity to cross sports for kind of a special occasion like this and make it relevant, I think it's a cool opportunity for us to do. And Will was nice enough to join us. Sam Fuentes, who's fresh off the U.S. Junior Am, he was actually also on that Coventry team back in 2018. He wasn't able to make the interview, made the taping, but maybe if Rylan keeps it going, we'll have him on next. So here's my interview with Will Owens, North Kingstown golf star and a former Little League World Series player back in Coventry from 2018. So enjoy the interview. Pretty cool stuff. Here's Will. And we're happy to be joined right now by North Kingstown star golfer Will Owens, who also played in the Little League World Series a handful of years ago for Coventry. So he's good enough to join us. And obviously, Will, this is a golf podcast, and I run a golf website. But as I mentioned to you off here, anytime we get to cross sports for something special like this, I figured I would take a shot at it. And thanks so much for coming on. I'm really looking forward to talking to you.
Of course, no problem.
So we'll get into your golf. We want to get into your summer, and you've had a couple of good finishes at Challenge Cup events, and you made the RA Amateur, etc. So we'll get into some golf, but I really want to have you on because obviously the Little League World Series is going on. For those wondering, we're taping this on Wednesday evening. Rhode Island just beat Nevada 3-1 in the first game of the Little League World Series. And Will, you were in the Little League World Series back in 2018 with Coventry, Hughes, and Sam Fuentes. So just to give people an idea of, we'll get into some of the details and the specifics of it, but just give people an idea of what is it like to be in that tournament. What was that run like? What do you remember about it? What is the whole experience like? Just kind of big picture.
Mostly what I remember is just like hanging out with our teammates and just the friends. Like the coolest thing was like the kids. You'd be walking around the park and like kids would just come up to you and like you're only like maybe 4 years older than them and they're asking for your autograph, and that was probably the coolest part about it.
How much did you charge for autographs?
Can't charge.
So Smithfield just won. I'm sure you watched the game or watched some of the game. Connor Curtis had 15 strikeouts, and it reminded me a little bit of a big time pitcher that was on your team in Tommy Turner. When you have a pitcher like that, Tommy is pitching for UConn next year, I believe. Yep, right. And when you have a big time pitcher like that, whether it's a Connor Curtis or Tommy Turner, I mean, how big is that for your team? I mean, what was that like playing behind Tommy? What do you think it's like playing for these kids to play behind Connor, who just had 15 strikeouts, just filthy stuff?
Yeah, I mean that's huge. Like you need at least one pitcher like that to kind of make that run. It's hard to do without. But I mean, we had Tommy and we had Jake Mather. I'm not sure if he's committed to a college, but back then he was throwing gas too.
Yeah, awesome. When you get there, right? Because it's all fun and games, and there's a parade and everything. Obviously you have games to play. How long does it take for the I don't want to say the excitement of being there to wear off, because you're obviously excited to be there, but when is it like finally like, okay, we have to like actually play a game now and like focus in on a game? Does that take a couple of days? Does it take a day? How long does it take you guys to sort of the newness of it sort of wear off and time to play?
I would say after our first day, kind of, because we got there after we beat Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
and so we took the bus straight there, and then once we got there, we had to do take pictures for our like badges, our IDs to get in and out of the living areas, and then we kind of walked the park, got to see it, went to see our quarters, put our stuff away. So I'd say probably for us, probably a day, because then we started practicing the next day. So
Yeah, really cool. And one of the coolest things about the World Series, I'm curious to ask you, is obviously you meet kids from all over the country, all over different countries actually, all over the world, I guess is probably the better way to phrase it. How many of those kids, if any, do you still keep in touch with? Maybe you see them, not necessarily obviously from your own team, but how many of those kids from that you met from all over the world do you still keep in touch with in some way, shape, or form? Any of them?
I've kept in touch with one kid from New York. His name was Justin, but besides that, not really. But we roomed with I think it was back then it was like Europe, Africa. So we roomed with them. We got kind of close with those kids.
In the games, obviously you guys played 3 games. You lost your first 2 in tough fashion, but then you won your consolation game. I think like 15-0 or
Yeah,
something.
15-1, I think, or
15
something.
to 1 was it? It was something ridiculous. I just looked it
Yeah.
up. But it was something ridiculous. I think it was the most runs I read is like the most runs ever scored in like a Little League World Series game or something crazy.
Might have
Uh,
been like that, yeah.
Something like that. In the games, do you have a specific memory of a play you made, whether it's a big hit you got or a stolen base or an outfield play? Is there like a play that sticks out to you that you'll remember for the rest of your life? You can tell your kids about eventually.
Probably just pitching in that consolation game.
Yeah.
Tommy started the game, and then through the first, like, he might have pitched like 2 guys in the first inning, and then I pitched the last 3, I think. But yeah, probably pitching in that game. That was, I mean, there's nothing like that.
What is that like? I mean, coming out of the bullpen, so to speak. Today we just saw it with in the Smithfield game at Connor going 5 in like a third. I think he went. Tactically is the baseball language for it. And then somebody comes in out of the bullpen. What is that whole experience like? Talk about pitching in a Little League World Series game.
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous through my first 2 batters rather. But I kind of settled in. I don't think I gave up 1 hit. So I pitched pretty well. But I mean, it's just so surreal. Like it's like just pitching in front of like hundreds of thousands of people is just crazy.
And on ESPN, how was the ESPN interaction? Because they're doing all these different stories you see, and Julie Foudy, who was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team way back when,
Yeah.
doing interviews and stuff. How was that? How was that whole experience? I mean, that's got to be one of the coolest parts of the whole thing, being on national TV.
Yeah, I remember when we got to do our intros. That was really fun, like speaking into it, and then we'd go over to like they had a big white screen, and like you could dress up funny and stuff, and could do it with some of your teammates too. But I think the coolest thing was we got to hang out with some MLB players. The year I went, it was the Mets and the Phillies. And so we were watching one of the games, and me and Sammy actually, we were sitting with Noah Syndergaard. So
Oh,
that was really cool.
yeah, and then I think this year, yeah, they have the baseball game now, the Major League Baseball game. I think this year is the Phillies and the Nationals. I want to say they're just advertising it on TV. I think it's the Phillies and the Nationals on Sunday night for whoever wants to watch that. Rhode Island plays again on Friday afternoon against Tennessee. They avoid the elimination round. What do you think of the game today? I mean, I think they had 1 hit. There are strikeouts everywhere, wild pitches, which is where a lot of their runs are scored. But watching that game today, did it bring back memories? Were you like coaching from the couch? What was that like for you? Does it bring back a lot of memories just watching another team from Rhode Island play, or just watching
Yeah.
anybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually been a few teams from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Barrington went the year after us. We actually
Cumberland. Yeah,
Cumberland, yep.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, you just sometimes, yeah, it's a little bit like trying to coach from the couch a little bit. Like, don't do what we did, obviously. I mean, we lost 2 close games, but I mean, that kid Curtis, that kid's gonna be good. He's he's got a good arm, and he has good off speed. So
I do have to ask you about one game. It was actually the game in the regionals where you guys were down 5-0, and you came all the way back. And then you almost did it again. And actually, you did come back against Iowa in the elimination game, and they ended up holding on to win. But you guys came back 5-0 in the to get to the regional championship. You did it again against Iowa. Little League is only 6 innings. So what is the mindset? Maybe these kids are going to be going through it, and the next thing, who knows? You never know. But what was that like to come back like that? I mean, that's got to be one of the great memories that you have, is being able to come back like that in a short game.
That was crazy. I remember, I mean, I was the first out in that inning. I think we had 2 guys got on, and then I got out, and the guy after me got out. And then I think Sammy actually had a double that scored 2 runs. And then we had our next 2 guys get on, and then a kid, Tommy, he hit a single up the middle, and the winning run was on second base, and he actually jumped over Tommy's single, jumped over the ball. So that was crazy. And then afterwards, I mean, we were just like, it was crazy, that experience.
If you could give advice to the current team, Smithfield playing, what would it be? It was just enjoy it. What would you be your advice to the current group of Rylanders playing in the World Series?
Just stay in the moment. Don't try to like think about results or anything. Get too far ahead of yourself. But probably just stay in the moment. Like, can't start thinking about results.
Awesome. Now let's talk golf. This is a golf podcast after all. We pivoted to baseball for a second. You're a senior at North Kingstown next year, a star player. You've had a pretty good summer. You made the amateur. You've had a couple of great finishes in Challenge Cup events and other events as well. Talk about your golf game. Talk about your summer on the course so far.
It's been all right. I've been working a lot, and I hurt my LCL earlier in the spring, so I mean, haven't finally fully recovered, but probably I'd say midway through June I was still struggling a little bit. But I've had some good finishes. Finished pretty good at Triggs. I think I came top 10, and I had some good finishes earlier in the year.
What are you looking forward to the most about senior year at North Kingstown?
Trying to win a state championship. I mean, we have 3 good seniors coming in, and we have a good freshman who hopefully develops over this summer, and can help us win next year.
For you, when you're playing, where are you trying to improve, and maybe to try to get to the next level, whether it's college or wherever. But for you, where are you trying to improve? What do you think you need to get better at, or what would you like to get better
at? Just ball striking in general, probably. My short game is my strength. I mean, today I hit 9 greens and shot 2 over. So I mean, I've had some rounds where I've shot like 3 under and hit like 7 greens. So if I can just get more consistent and hit more greens, hit like 13, 14 greens around, just take a little less pressure off my short game.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to and there's still a couple of Challenge Cup tournaments left. There's a Challenge Cup championship, right? Last year was at Shelter Harbor. I don't know where it is off the top of my head this year.
I think it's at Shelter again.
Yeah, so there's definitely a few events coming up that people can come see you, or I can come see you, either one. What's the state of junior golf? I mean, junior golf here right now, we see it in all the tournaments. It's pretty amazing to see so many good players. Yourself, obviously, the Max Jacksons of the world, and the Olivia Williams on the girls' side, and the Eatons. You're in it, in the midst of it. What has it been like? I mean, it's pretty. I would say it's a pretty unique time for golf in Rhode Island right now, especially junior golf.
Yeah, junior golf's probably, the senior class, and my class has probably been the strongest it's almost ever been, with Ryan Dacey, Mark Antonio, Sebastian. You got incoming guys like Rocco Cababo. He was on our New England junior team, so he's gonna be a kid to watch out for next year. But yeah, New England or Rhode Island junior golf it's really, really good right now.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's been fun to cover. It's been fun to write about, and like I said, it's been one of the most unique times, I think, in Rhode Island golf in many years. Just with so many kids going to colleges, so many so much high level golf being played. So, listen, enjoy the rest of your summer. I know there's only a couple weeks left, so enjoy that, and enjoy the rest of the Little League World Series. And thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to me.
Thanks for having me.
Also, that's Will Owens, star golfer of North Kingstown High School, but he's also a star player for Coventry Little League back in 2018 as we celebrate Ryland getting back to the Little League World Series with Smithfield. And again, they play again on Friday. Well, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. All right, that was my interview with North Kingstown golf star Will Owens. He's going to be a senior this upcoming school year. So one more chance to try to win a golf state championship, like he said. And he also obviously has fond memories of that 2018 run to the Little League World Series with Coventry. Rhode Island plays again in the Little League World Series on Friday afternoon against Tennessee. So for those wondering, that is when they play next. So thanks to Will for coming on. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode. Pretty cool stuff. Again, a great opportunity to cross sports on a special occasion and a cool story. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We will talk to you throughout the weekend on GolfNewsRI.com. Of course, tournament results, club championships are probably wrapping up, or should be close to wrapping up, I would think, at this point. So we'll continue coverage of those. And obviously, Chatfield and Welch on the Corn Ferry Tours, their first professional season is wrapping up as well. Excuse me. And then we go pretty much right into Q school shortly after that. So busy fall season, not necessarily around here, but just in general. And also college golf starting up again too. That's pretty cool. Bryant schedule was released earlier this week. So lots still going on. Stay tuned to GolfNewsRI for all your golf coverage and your podcast. I'm Joe Calabro. This has been the Golf Dudes Podcast. Have a great weekend. Hit 'em straight, and we'll see you on the flip side.